Hey, how's it going? So this is our Next.js dynamic routes tutorial. So in the last video we got Tailwind set up, and if you're interested in checking that out, I definitely recommend it. Tailwind's a really cool utility framework for CSS, but we're just going to hop right into it right now, and we're going to import a link from Next Link, and then we're going to create a link over here to a post page. So I'm going to show you how to create dynamic routes here. So we end this tag, and then I'll just populate a title here, and let's just say like learn Next.js, and then in here we'll say learn our latest post on Next.js, right? So this is going to go to an href of /posts, and obviously we don't have that file. There's no page for /post. If we remember, Next.js does everything through pages, so we'll have to create that, or else we'll get our 404. So we create our post.js, and then this is going to be a really simple component here. But what we'll do is we'll just return div, and we'll put a title in here, right? We'll do a props.title, which will not work, and I'll show you why. But then we'll also put in just some like, this is the post. Alright, and we'll export default post. And this should be everything that we need to get started, right? So we came here and form. Make sure your spelling is correct. From next link. So we came back here. We should get our hot module, but it could be because it's an exception that it's not gonna refresh for us. So latest post on Next.js, and if we click that, we should get our prop is not defined. Because we need to accept props, right? So props, and this should be props.title. And there we go. So this is the post. We don't actually get our H1, and if we actually inspect this, what's cool about this is that it'll render it expecting that you get one, but it won't actually populate it or give you an error. In the console you might get an error, but that's actually, I think, just old errors that I hadn't cleared out. So if we come here and we're trying to figure out how to pass some props to this dynamically, right? So we're going to this post page, but typically if you have a post, if you have a blog, you have more than one post. There's never like a post page, but we're using React, so everything needs to be componentized, and we need a single source of truth. So calling this posts with plural posts doesn't really make sense. We do want this singular one, but we want it to go to a page where the title is something, and we want it to render as like posts. So what we'll do is we'll just pass it this object with this string, and we'll say /post with a query string of title, and then that title will actually do some interpolation, and we'll do props.title here, and we'll tell our index component to accept props so that we can use it. But obviously this is the parent component. This index is our parent page, and we have this as a child component. So how are we going to get our props for our parent component if we don't have any? Well, Next.js gives us this this ability to say index dot, and basically we'll take the name of the component, and then we'll do dot, and then we'll do our method, and the method here is get initial props, and this is going to equal an asynchronous function that accepts props. And then in here, typically for posts, blog posts, stuff like that, you would get it from the database. We're just gonna fake it really quickly, so we're just gonna say like let title equal latest post on Next.js. And then we need to actually return this. So we'll just say return, and we'll just say title. This is just a shorthand for that. With ES6, you can just, if you're returning something with the same name as your variable, then you don't really need to get all crazy. So we return our title, and we come back to our home page, and we have our latest post on Next.js, and that's coming from our props, so we know that our get initial props is working. And if we click on this, then we get this really ugly URL, and we don't get our props.title. So there's some things that we need to do here to clean this up, and it's called URL masking. But since we're doing this query string here, the server is adding these spaces with the %20 in between all of our words. So we need a way to be able to clean this up and make it better and make it SEO friendly, because with search engine optimization, you really want to make sure that your links are human readable. That way you can be indexed by Google and rank higher and stuff like that. And it's really something that's a core focus of Next.js. So what we're going to do is we're going to say as, and we're going to give this another string, and we're going to say as posts, so we get our plural, and then in here we'll just say props.slug. So instead of adding the title onto the end of this and getting those ugly %20s, we'll just create a new prop. So we'll just say let slug equal, and we'll just do latest post Next.js. And what we'll do is we'll just return our slug. And when we come here and we hover over our link, or let's refresh actually, we should get our latest post for Next.js. And we click on that and we get our URL masking. We're still not getting actually our props.title though. So how do we like kind of like clean this up? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna come to this posts, and instead of props.title, we're gonna say props.url.query.title, and that should give us our latest post on Next.js, which is exactly what we told it to be. And what's really like interesting about this is all done on the client side. So if you click here, you get your latest post on Next.js and you have your URL masking and everything's great, but as soon as you refresh, you get a 404. So why is that? Well, what Next.js does is it defaults back to the server after it's been rendered on the client side. So we actually don't have this link registered in our server. So how can we do this? How do we kind of rectify this? Well, what we'll do is we'll come to our routes, and right here we'll just do server.get, and it's /posts, right? And we are actually passing a slug to it, or no, we're passing a slug to it. And then we're going to do our request and our response objects. And what we can do here is we can say let the actual page equal /post, because that's the actual page that we're using on Next.js over here. And then what we can do is let query params equal, and then we'll pass an object to it, and we'll say the title is rec.params.title. That should work. If not, we'll just go back to slug. But then we'll just use this cool Next.js feature, and we'll say app.render, and we'll give it the request object, the response object, the actual page, and the query params. So it's going to send all this back to the client side, so that when we actually refresh our page, we should get everything that we need. So when we refresh, Okay, so it actually does need to be the slug, since that's what's going to be rendered on the server side. So if we look at this, then come on now, what's happening here? I'm not getting any errors. Maybe it was just taking a while. Let's see. What is going on? Huh. Let me just kill this server and restart it. I'm not really sure what's happening there. I may have just gotten caught in a weird loop. Alright, so now I click that, and it's not rendering. So why isn't it rendering? Did I send Next.js into a tailspin? It looks like I sent it into a tailspin. It's trying to do something, and I've given it incorrect kind of instructions. So let's take a look here. So title rec.params.title rec res actual page query params. That's exactly what I've done. /posts /slug actual page is /post actual page is /post query params title is rec.params.id. Well, ours is rec.params.slug. And then we have app.render with the request, the response, the actual page, and the query params. And query params and actual page are spelled correctly. And we're doing our server.get. And oh, you know what? I don't think I've returned this. There we go. How's that? So is that what they have here? No, they're not returning it either. So, oh, here it is. Alright, so it was just being weird. I'm not sure what happened there. It got caught in sort of a tailspin, I guess, but says there's no page for alright, so now we're compiled successfully. So we should be able to go to our home page here. There we go. Now it's rendered, and there we go. Latest post on Next.js, and we refresh, and we're getting our server-side response. So we want to make sure that our server-side response is returning the basically you would use your database here to kind of get all your information, or you could do it in your get initial props and get it directly from the database using an isomorphic unfetch library. For right now, I'm going to say that we did a lot here. You know, we did query string parameters, and we learned about, you know, linking with an as and kind of masking our routes with our slug here. And we faked getting a response from the server with returning our props and passed it in. And then we passed those props directly to our child component. And we made sure that the routes were consistent on the back end too, so that when we refresh, that it's all universal. So I think for right now, that's probably going to do it for us. This is the shortest video in the series, but once we move on to the isomorphic unfetch library, we'll be moving right along and building an application using Next.js, and it should be a lot of fun. I just wanted to break these two videos up between the server-side rendering and the clean URLs, and splitting that with the isomorphic unfetch, because I think it's a lot to digest in one sitting. So I'll be back with another video shortly, and let me know if you have any questions.